Take two. Good morning and welcome. It is 11:30. It is the 6th day of October 2021. I am your number one guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and sports. The OGGM who asked the question, what if? Oh no, wait, that's another show. So it's Wednesday. I forgot it was Wednesday. It's time to take a look at all the product that should be on the shelves at your friendly local game store this week. That's Seth's Games and Anime here in Ventura. But of course, I cannot guarantee that these titles are going to be available because of the shipping issues that we are experiencing, which are just getting worse and compounding. The ships are just so backed up from what I hear from all the different places, both overseas and here in America. Several of the distributors have said they're going to try and find alternative ways, even if it means reprinting titles here in the States. And you'll be like, well, why don't they do that here anyways? And they just print the titles here in the States and not print them overseas. If only. We would love it if they kept jobs here in America and did the printing here in America, but it's just because of finances and money and things, it's just cheaper to print it over there and have it shipped here, except now it's actually going to be more expensive. Politics. And with that said, here we go. Remember, I can't guarantee any of these will be available, but if they are, please purchase them from your friendly local game store. That's Seth's Games and Anime here in Ventura. Goodman Games presents the Temple of Elemental Evil Homage. This is a 2 hardcover volume. I think this is the first one that they've done a 2-book of. It's, of course, the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Temple of Elemental Evil conversion, as well as a classic homage to all the various incarnations of the Temple of Elemental Evil. It's at $100, but it's $100 for 2 books. And if you're familiar with all the stuff that Goodman Games has been doing so far with like Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, Keep on the Borderlands, Isle of Dread, the one I want, you know that these conversion books are huge. They have tons of information. They have interviews. They're just amazing. Everybody who's seen them says they're well worth it. From Monty Cook Games, we have the Character Folio for Poultice, Character Portfolio for Poultice for both D&D and Cypher System. So these are soft cover, $20 each. It's a character portfolio, 24 pages of records of PC's abilities, skills, spells, belongings, and other details for Monty Cook's Ptolis setting, which is Monty Cook's super mega city where you can do anything. But it's Monty Cook, so, you know, I love the stuff that the guy does, but he never follows through. So it's been how many years since Ptolis came out, and he's still, like, slowly making new stuff available. I have heard that he's doing a 5e conversion of Ptolis. I don't think it's pronounced Ptolis. I don't think it's used the P. The P is silent because it's spelled Ptolus. But from the way I've heard people pronounce it, it's the P is silent and it's because Ptolis sounds stupid. So it's like Ptolis. But that makes no sense. Could the P silent? Why not just call it Ptolis then? Tolus and not put the P at all. I don't understand words. Anyways, yeah. So I've heard that there's a 5th edition conversion of this mega book. I saw the mega book when it originally came out, and it was huge. It was $100. It was huge. I read through it. It didn't feel like it was worth it. From Barcelona, Condario Screen RPG from Archon. Barcelona, Condottieros Screen, Condotarios Screen / RPG from Archon. We have Barcelona setting book, Barcelona Macaronia, and Barcelona Condottorius Screen. These is the Installion. Oh, this is the one that got nominated for all the Ennies. This is the Italian-inspired RPG and spaghetti fantasy setting. So think spaghetti western, but fantasy instead of spaghetti western. It describes a kingdom. It describes the land. It describes all the opportunities PCs can get into. PCs play scoundrels who can join gangs and give stab wounds. It's very low fantasy. Play goes up to level 6 with unique rules for advancement. It is for D&D. So, fistful of dollars, a few dollars more. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly are probably the spaghetti westerns most people know. I don't know what a spaghetti fantasy is, but I suppose there might be Italian films that came out about the same time that use the same style. But imagine Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, or Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but they were D&D adventures instead of westerns, and that would be what this setting is trying to emulate. And it's an entire $50 book trying to tell you about the world that would operate on these logics. Yeah, again, did you really need an entire game for this? Couldn't you have just done a support info book for like $20? Maybe I'm too hard on these companies. Speaking of too hard on the companies, from the company whose name I can never get right, but I still love them, we have from Mofidius Entertainment, the Dune RPG Game Master's Toolkit and the Dune RPG Player's Journal. It's $40 for the screen, $20 for the Player's Journal. This obviously is for the 2D20 Dune Adventures role-playing game that came out earlier this year, actually I think like last month, from Mofidius. So we have a DM screen, and then we have a Player's Journal, because I guess Player's Journals are coming back as a thing. 32 pages containing character sheets, various blank pages for you to put down notes about your character and your adventure and your stuff. Of course, if that character dies, then you just wasted $20 on something you could gotten at the 99-cent store for 99 cents. I have heard mixed reviews on 2D20 Dune. People have said that it's a great source book, it's a great setting, but the system is really hard to figure out and understand and doesn't really seem to feel comfortable with the world. So take that for what you mean. Anyways, it's supposed to be available. From Cool Mini or Not, we have the Zombicide Chronicles RPG Sourcebook, the Zombicide Chronicles RPG Game Master Starter Set, and the Zombicide Chronicles RPG Stories from the Outbreak. Now, Zombicide was a board game that these guys put out a couple years ago, and they have now made a role-playing game. Zombicide, the board game, most well known for its amazing figures that it made, and that people use them for other games. Stuff. So I guess they've done a role-playing game set in the same world of the board game, which of course is a zombie apocalypse role-playing game because there's not enough of those. You are play survivors in the zombie apocalypse. You must work to learn together, trust another, and form strategies to fight the zombies if you want to stay alive. We also have the Game Master Starter Kit and a Starter Adventures code called Stories from the Outbreak. It's $40 for the PC for the RPG core book, $20 for the Game Master Starter Kit, and $10 for the additional mission kit. From Ulysses Spiel, we have some stuff for Torg. We have Blood on the Blasted Lands and Blood on the Blasted Lands soundtrack. Nice. Not enough people do these. So Blood on the Blasted Lands is a $40 massive 7-part adventure that crosses different regions of the Tarkhold, the world of Torg. And Blood on the Sand soundtrack, Blood on the Blasted Lands soundtrack, is a $20 CD. Yes, CD, I know. Some people don't know what that is. It contains 16 tracks. Doesn't say anything about the tracks, who made them, what style if they are, if it's singing, and songs or just music set for background and setting. It sounds like it's just music. I don't know, maybe they couldn't get rights to actual songs to do a soundtrack. I mean, Mork Borg has done it. There's a couple CDs, adventures from Mork Borg, where they've used songs. And of course, Ultraviolet Glasslands has a playlist on Spotify, which has got a lot of that, psychedelic rock type stuff. From Gaming Ballistic, we have Hand of Asgard and the Crypt of Krysuvik. 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 The Crypt of some dude. These are for Dungeon Fantasy, which is the game that Steve Jackson Games has recently put out, sort of a redone of GURPS Fantasy, but as a different sort of separate system. It's $12 for both. They're both adventures. No, it's $12 for the first one, Hand of Asgard. $20 for the Crypt of the Karisuvek. For the Crypt of Steve. It's $20. The first book is a guide to the gods of the adventure world, and the second one is an adventure supporting 4 to 6 characters of 125 to 150 points, going down, doing dungeon crawling in a crypt named after a guy whose name I can't pronounce. I apologize, Gaming Ballistic, for the fast I can't pronounce the name of your dude. Don't take it as a personal insult. So if you're a fan of GURPS Fantasy and a fan of the Dungeon Fantasy system, which again is sort of a redo of GURPS and GURPS Fantasy and a lot of the other supplements that were made for GURPS Fantasy all bashed together into one actual separate entity, check this out. And that, I think, is it. Oh, also, in case you didn't know, Wild Beyond the Witchlight from Wizards of the Coast is out and available at your friendly local game store. It should be interesting to note that up until the point of Wild by the Witchlight, it was Tasha's that was the sort of stopgap of the changes in the system that Wizards of the Coast wanted to make. So, like, everything before Tasha's is one version of 5e, and everything after Tasha's is a different version of 5e. Well, now it seems that they have moved that up, and now it's everything before Wild of the Witchlight is one version, and everything after Wild of the Witchlight is the way they want D&D to go now. So sorry, Tasha, you don't count anymore. It's now Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I did a full review yesterday of the changes that are coming from Wizards of the Coast, and it may be the first time in all the years that I have, quote-unquote, defended Wizards of the Coast that I cannot defend them. In the past, I've said, well, maybe somewhere these choices made sense to someone, and maybe they were a good idea, even though now they're not. I spent 30 minutes yesterday going over the changes, and I have to say, for the first time since I started vlogging and talking about Wizards of the Coast, I have no explanation for these changes because they make no sense. Anyways, all these titles should be available. Sadly, the shipping is still an issue. At the shelves of your friendly local game store, that's Cess Games Anime here in Ventura. As always, if you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 1,000 subs by, the end of the decade. Support me through the Ko-Fi, support me through the locals, or just support me by saying hi. I appreciate what you're doing. Till next time, have a great holiday season. I will talk to you soon. Get off my land.